A rally in support of the January 6 rioters is still underway in Washington. So far, the crowd is not quite as large as organizers predicted in the days leading up to the rally. Recent online chatter seemed to coax many into avoiding the event. The rally was intended to support people who were arrested following the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Many of those detained have been charged with assaulting law enforcement officers. Others have been charged with trespassing and other offenses. Crews reinstalled an 8-foot-high fence surrounding the Capitol complex earlier this week. U.S. Capitol Police and D.C. Metro Police have increased their presence, and the Pentagon authorized 100 members of the D.C. National Guard to stand by as a precautionary measure. We want to go back to CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge, who is at the event. Catherine, the rally started at noon there. Tell us what you've observed.
Well, Lana, right now we're near the boundary of the rally that's closest to the Capitol, and we've been talking throughout the morning about this concept of layered security, and I want to illustrate what that's all about. So we have two barriers here, two metal barriers, and you can't see it, but just down to my left, we have about 40 officers and then about an equal number behind me. Joey now is going to push in towards the Capitol, and you'll see what amounts to a third layer of physical security. You see the armored car, and then you see the metal fence that was set up again last week specifically for this rally. And one of the things we've noticed in the last hour, if you just walk this way with me, is that the police have gone from carrying their riot gear to wearing their riot gear. Again, it goes to this concept of a highly visible security presence. And again, this is all designed to be a deterrence to violence, to keep a lid on any kind of activity here. So the layered approach, and then again, that very visible security with the police. We've seen, again, some sort of onesies and twosies in terms of arguments between sort of one side, the rally, and some of these counter-protesters. There may have been one or two arrests so far, but for the most part, there really has not been any trouble to speak of, Lana. Let's
Catherine,
just, if you can just come with me just 1 second. Hold on just 1 second. Yep. I just want to, something may be going on over here. Let's just take a look. So again, we've got the riot police who are coming along this fence line here. I just want to just take a look to see. They seem to be bending down. They may be looking at something over here. Let's just take a look. Hold on 1 sec.
Going all the way down. Not all. Brock can make it all the way down.
Okay. Looks like he's just fixing some stuff on his equipment. I was concerned for a moment he may have found something inside the barrier, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So again, this is just another layer of the physical security that is here on the 6th, and this is just night and day from what we saw on January 6th, when there was a very limited security presence, and the crowd was, I mean, the crowd is, again, night and day to what we're seeing today. Just, if we look back over here, maybe about 150, I think still under about 200 have come to this rally since
for the crowds.
We last spoke. That's correct. Still relatively small, but Joey, if you want to just spin around, this park is about 4 city blocks, long city blocks, and about a block wide, and you can see that really there are huge areas that have no one in them. So it's maybe about half full, and we're over halfway through the rally, Lana.
Catherine, I can hear a little bit in the background of people speaking at the rally. Can you tell us anything more about what they're saying?
Well, they started out by saying that the whole point of the rally was that this would be a non-violent event. They asked people to respect the police and also to respect the journalists. And that caught my attention because neither of those things happened on January 6th. They talked about what they describe as individuals who were arrested and non-violent, that they believe are being wrongly incarcerated. But based on our research here at CBS News, they've talked about at least one person who was accused of assault. So there is a bit of a disconnect. I think if there's one beat that we've heard pretty consistently so far has been about Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt was the Air Force veteran who, we all know the video, was climbing through that window inside the Capitol and then was shot. That officer, after a review, was found to have acted appropriately. But she certainly is maybe perhaps, for lack of a better word, become sort of a martyr or a symbol for some of the people who are here today. But again, it's a very small group. It in no way reflects the 700 people that they thought would come based on the security permit that they asked for, Lana.
And Catherine, you mentioned that there's been a couple of little skirmishes between people who are arguing on different sides of the political spectrum. What more are you hearing about counter protests and what the law enforcement is doing to try and keep those different groups separated or from those arguments to become more heated?
Well, the U.S. Capitol Police Chief told reporters late yesterday that he felt the most likely flashpoint would be this intersection or overlap between individuals at this rally and some of the counter-protests. Based on my most recent reporting, the counter-protesters are being asked to assemble, if you will, a huge distance from this area. Again, it's the idea of creating that physical separation. We've seen some conflicts here which amount, in my view, to very heated arguments, and the police have quickly surrounded these people. In some cases, they've separated them and then removed the parties. One counter-protester was making the point that he feels this rally is trying to rewrite the history of January 6th. He said they talk about respecting the police. They did not show respect to police on that day. Over 100 police officers were assaulted that day. And he said, you don't have to take my word for it. There are hundreds, if not tens of thousands of hours of security camera video and social media that shows what happened that day. So there is a little bit of that conflict between individuals, but there isn't that violent clash, which is something I would put down to this layered security and this very physical security presence here, which has clearly acted as a deterrent, Lana.
Catherine, really quickly, we see some flags flying behind you. I see, obviously, the American flag. What are some of the other ones that you've seen flying there?
Okay, so one of the directives of the rally organizers was to not come to this with overtly political messages or banners or T-shirts. So they told them not to bring "Make America Great Again," not to bring pro-Trump, merchandise, if you will. In the distance, we have some American flags. "Don't tread on me" is very common on some of them. There's another one, the language I'm not going to repeat to you, that I think is the black flag in the far distance. But for the most part, really, they have not brought a lot of materials that you would see as overtly political. And that may have been a decision for the optics. I mean, this is a pretty sophisticated group that put the rally together, right? So they're thinking about the optics. That would be my takeaway.
Another difference from what we saw on January 6th. All right, Catherine, thank you.
100%.